inside SA, and one of the absolute legends and one of the people that we're very proud of here in South Australia, Katrina Webb. Welcome, Katrina.
Thank you very much, Anthony.
Now, Katrina, just tell us about you.
About me? Well, where do I start?
Well, start with...
Yeah. I suppose my story became a little bit famous, or is known in South Australia, because I do have a unique story. Born and bred in South Australia, and was always quite good at sport. Racial Spawn's my first cousin, so got the sort of genetics in the family. My dad was a really good footballer. I think a lot of people, maybe some of the viewers might remember Darryl Webb back in the 70s playing for North Adelaide. So I had some good sporting talent, made it to the Australian Institute of Sport and a netball scholarship in 1995. But that's where my whole journey, or my whole life, sort of had a big turn. I actually found out a weakness that I had on my right side, which I'd known about since birth. Was actually a mild case of cerebral palsy. So it didn't change anything for me, but it was something that I found out that I had, which in turn people found out at the Institute that there was a girl who was supposed to be able-bodied, and as you can imagine, the coaches of athletes with a disability got really excited and thought, well, imagine if we get this girl across the Paralympics, she'll be fantastic.
So they got excited about you?
Very excited. It was like I won the lottery for them. They were so excited, and you know, told me of a pathway in which I never even knew existed. But the interesting part about my story was, for probably the 18 years prior to that, I knew I had something wrong, didn't know it was cerebral palsy, but knew it was there, and did everything I could to try and hide it, just to be like everybody else. So becoming a Paralympian was quite scary for me, because I knew that people would know that there was something wrong with me. So it wasn't just about making a sporting decision, it was about making a life decision, which in turn has made a huge impact, and a really good positive impact on my life. So that's where things began for me. Changed from netballer to the field of athletics, and now we're about 14 years later, and I've been to 3 Paralympic Games and a couple of World Champs, and snuck a Com Games in there. So you know, you just never know where life takes you. Going there on an able-bodied netball scholarship, and I come out the other end Paralympic champion.
Now, you went to the Olympics, but you didn't come home empty-handed.
No, I've been lucky enough. I did bring a few medals with me. I always bring this one, not that it's my favourite, but it is a bronze one from the Sydney Games. So this was my second Games, and I love it because it's actually melted down 2 and 1 cent coins. So I have a bit of a joke, it's worth at least 3 cents if people want to know the value of this one.
Can I have a look at it?
Sure.
Right. Well, they're heavy, aren't they?
They're very heavy, very deceiving actually. And along with, so my story goes, in Atlanta I won 2 gold and a silver. I won 2 silver and a bronze at the Sydney home games.
This is on the track?
Yes,
this is
yes,
200
sprinting.
metres,
Yep,
400 metres?
Exactly. Silver from Sydney. And so Sydney was wonderful. Any chance you get to compete in front of your home crowd is sensational.
We were there, we saw obviously the Olympic Games, and then we caught up with a number of the people involved in the Paralympics. It was just terrific.
Yeah, it really, the Sydney Paralympic Games put the Paralympics you know, in Australians' eyes for us. It was a real big turning point for Paralympic Games and for Paralympians to be recognised as professional elite athletes by having it in Australia. And you know, we staged sensational games. I remember the head of the IPC, International Paralympic Committee, said at the time it was the best ever games, which I know they're getting better. I know Beijing did a very good job, but Australia did definitely set the benchmark. And then 4 years later I went to the Athens Games, and finally, after winning a few silvers over that period of time and winning gold in Atlanta, I finally got back to a gold level for the 400 metres in Athens, which is just sitting in there.
It's just incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you know what, this one means so much to me.
Can I take it out?
Yeah, just have to watch. It's a bit fragile. The ribbon's a bit fragile. I'm very generous and do take it out and about with me, but this one's worth a lot more because it took me 8 years to get a gold again. From winning gold in Atlanta to not winning again 8 years later, the journey of that one, which is now what I tend to talk a lot about, is how to turn silver medals back into gold. So it's interesting.
You can't even read it. It's all in.
Yeah, it's in Greek.
Yeah,
and that's how they design the medals. The countries that have the games, they choose what they'll put on the front, and often you're probably looking there, there's some braille on the back of that one. Yeah, exactly right. And the first time ever the Athens gold medal was the same composition as the Olympic Games. However, the only difference you'll find is every Olympic gold medal will have the goddess of victory on the front. She's called Nike, so if people didn't know where Nike came from, it's the goddess of victory. So So that's where where my Paralympic journey has taken me, across the world, and meeting wonderful people, but also being the best I could be on the track, which was an incredible opportunity.
So Katrina, sporting prowess, great achievements against all of the odds, developed you as a person, and now you're imparting that. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I am. I was really fortunate enough to have a great mentor as a younger athlete, a businessman by the name of Mark Cahoon. Sort of took me under his wing, and a few people probably know Mark, and looked after me for about 5 years and taught me a lot about business. And his philosophy was that as an athlete you put so much energy and time into your sport that he had seen just so many sporting stars retire and have nothing. And their whole career is finished, and think, well, what can I do now? I mean, I'm always lucky. I had great advice by my parents to get an education. So I graduated as a physio in 2000, which I do a little bit of the time now, but not too much. But with great advice from Mark, I did set up a business just over 10 years ago now, and trying to work my product as an athlete and the services I could provide to make sure I had a win-win situations for potential sponsors if people wanted me to speak. So that's where business began for me, which was great. And 10 years on, I'm still doing a lot of speaking, corporate speaking. We also do team building days. I also do some corporate health and wellbeing programs, so using my physio knowledge and my athletic knowledge to create wellness and performance in organisations. So it's great to be able to take that sporting knowledge. You put so many hours into sport. If I'd studied instead of done the hours that I had on the track, I'd probably have 2 PhDs, but I'm able to then take that knowledge from not only learning to be the best that you can be, but also being a Paralympian. I had a lot of other obstacles to overcome personally about my disability, which I think I'm able to help educate people a lot now if they've got any obstacles that they're trying to overcome.